Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. I'm Anna, Mars X, and I'm still your partnership and growth person. So if you ever want to talk about it, hit me up. And today with me is Ozan Sonmez. And thank you so much for coming in again. Whoever missed it, we had a very spontaneous, very, very cool conversation about 2 weeks ago. We could not retrieve the audio, so decided to do it again, and I'm very happy to see you. So thank you for doing it.
Exactly.
And Ozan is, an amazing founder and a person who basically started growing the Turkish startup ecosystem many years ago. So please, could you introduce yourself? Tell us what you're working on right now and what your projects are.
So, thank you, Anna Marsex, but your surname is not Marsex.
Yeah.
So this is Ozan Sonmez. As Anna mentioned, I'm Turkish. I'm still in Turkey. I got back to Turkey after 7 years abroad. Started my career in consultancy and audit with Deloitte. Learned a lot from that experience, especially how to use Excel in a neck-breaking speed. And then I got lucky. I tried to be lucky. I worked hard to be lucky, and I got lucky. I started teaching and small medium enterprise and entrepreneurship course in the university that I was working as a finance professional, which is in Istanbul Bilgi University. And actually, that's the coffee. Just let me get that coffee and come back real quick.
Sure. Yeah. Ozan told me before that he's waiting for his coffee to arrive, so let's give him a moment to get it. But yeah, Ozan is a founder and CEO of Sage HQ and Zillion Pitches, and he is now in Istanbul, where we are based as well. So if you're here as well, don't hesitate to reach out. And here you are. Welcome back.
Exactly. Thank you. The delivery guy got 5 minutes late, so it's perfectly fine. Anyways, it's the story of my life. I'm running after coffee all the time. Where was I? So I started teaching entrepreneurship and small medium enterprise. And that got me into learning more about entrepreneurship and startups, which was something super, super new in 2010-ish. There were a lot of deal sites. There were a lot of e-commerce sites, but there wasn't much else. There wasn't even a stronger VC community as we have in today in Istanbul. I think the total amount of money available for VCs to invest was about like $20 million. It's nothing compared to the size of Turkey. So I made a jump. I moved to Middle East to a large university working on energy, food, environment, and water. They had a lot of research. They had amazing people, a global network of geniuses with PhDs. I was the least educated people with 2 master's degrees in the university. So I built accelerator programs for that university, which is King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, called KAUST. So KAUST is crazy important in my career because it led me to understand the regional perspective of the Middle East. It got me understanding how things can actually move really fast when you have the right mindset, when you have the right structures. I did 3 accelerators in my 3 years in KAUST. We built an impact accelerator for social startups. We built a deep tech accelerator for IP-based, research-based companies. That's where I learned a lot about technology readiness, about like deployment, about everything else on IP. And then we did a very general startup accelerator program. The good thing about that journey is I had great partners and people I worked with. And together with them, we started teaching around the region for MIT Enterprise Forum. So that's one affiliation I'm really proud of. I probably trained more than 2,000 to 3,000 startups only in the Middle East through MIT Enterprise Forum. And
wow! So how did your businesses start? The Sage and the Zillion Pages.
So these are like super late. Back then, I only had founded SMEs. I had a bookstore, believe it or not, which I had closed after I moved to Middle East. So I started like being a like heads-on SME entrepreneur. I didn't do it full time. I like family circumstances and everything is not difficult to guess, but so I really had hard time building a startup myself because I'm super distracted. I'm really good at teaching. So I still became a founder much later in my career. So we did MIT Enterprise Forum trainings and boot camps. That's how we created the consultancy company, which is here, the yellow X.
Yeah.
So that's the consultancy piece that we created. I think it's been about almost 10 years now. No, 8 years, sorry. And again, I was very, very lucky because I worked hard. I had the energy to work hard. And in a conference that I went, and I just want to do a shout out to Burak, Startup Istanbul. So Burak did an event in San Francisco for founders to move abroad to learn from San Francisco, and he invited me to be a speaker. So I took the time, I went there, I was a speaker in one of the events, and I was the master of ceremonies. And in those conversations, I learned that my alma mater, which is Middle East Technical University in Turkey, in Ankara, actually had an office in San Francisco, and they were trying to find the right structure and strategy to help founders from Turkey to move to San Francisco, but they had it the wrong way, let me put it that way. So they were looking at it from a very space-oriented perspective. Oh, we have a desk, we have a good place in Market Street, it's great view in the Bank of America building, but there's nobody inside. And I was like, that should not be happening, because what I've seen in Middle East is more program-oriented, more partnership-oriented. And I was not a very humble person back then. I cannot say I'm still. I took the liberty to send a very long email to the general manager of the Technokent in Ankara. And I told him all the wrong things they were doing about this whole space. And then he's a very, very intelligent, very humble guy, Mustafa Bey, and he said, if you know it that well, why don't you come and run it? And I was like, interesting.
That's a good call.
I was not expecting that, truly, because I was raising a fund for $5 million, investing in deep tech startups in Saudi and in the region with our connections with MIT Enterprise Forum. So we were about to start a fundraising process within the university and outside the university. And I was like, I said, okay, it's great, thank you so much, but I'm in the middle of fundraising. And literally 1 week later, the whole operations got shut down in terms of our fundraising and in terms of our new programs because of many things. So I said, okay, I mean, it seems like I'm not going to be able to do what I did in Middle East anymore. So yeah, I'll take the job. So I jumped shipped out of KAUST, and in 2016, literally 1 week before the US elections, I moved to US, to San Francisco. And it's funny because it's a time that's really was catastrophic for the Silicon Valley ecosystem. Everybody was shocked after the elections were finalized. And it helped us. It did not help me at all. So I got stuck at airplanes. My laptop was confiscated because I was flying from Turkey. So it just became a real mess for Turkish startups, for startups coming from the Middle East and everybody else. So it was a very difficult time in San Francisco. However, I'm a super stubborn person. So we were able to build a program, worked with Draper University, worked with UC Berkeley, worked with great people and institutions. We worked with a good innovation advisory house with Tristan Kromer. Shout out to all the friends that I have there. And we invested in 20 startups at a very early stage, at seed stage. And the startups we invested went on to raise funding from Techstars, went on to raise funding for 500 startups, went on to raise funding from Draper University and some VCs as well. So it was a really successful operation, and I think I'm super proud of the achievements we had there. That brings us to 2019, and in 2019 I had my 3 years done in Silicon Valley, and it became a little bit difficult to kind of sustain the life, as well as kind of push forward for new startups to come. and I came back.
Okay.
Since then I'm in Turkey running global programs, and these two things, Zillion Pitches is a product of my studies in Draper University. I graduated from their Heroes program. Shout out to Tim and Azra. And they forced me to do something very endearing, which was how can we make startups pitch better? And with Zillion Pitches, that's what we do. We're helping startups pitch better through the use of artificial intelligence. So you go on, you pitch, you record your pitch, you put it in our system, and we give you an AI report. And that tells you what you are not good at in pitching in terms of performance and what you're not good at in terms of content. And that's what we're trying to grow. And during the pandemic, we relaunched as a web app. We were a mobile app before. And that's been kind of slow, but exciting journey. And during the pandemic, again, since everything went online, I decided to do an entrepreneurship and innovation course that was asked for me to do by a university. And that course that I created, I developed, became SAGE, which is the Students Academy for Global Entrepreneurship. We're trying to find product market fit at the moment. We have clients in universities, in high schools, in corporates. What we teach people is how to think like an entrepreneur, and people above the age of 14. So high schoolers, K-12, university students, university graduates, or people who are at the verge of changing careers. We designed a content with people from UC Berkeley, people from a lot of investment groups. So we're kind of pushing both startups at the same time while doing a lot of consultancy, a lot of program development for YellowX. So
I know that you have a teenage daughter. Is she interested in the program?
So I'm sure people who have kids will understand what I say. They have receptors. They just don't tell you they have them. So you have to be really careful in what you say around them.
Yeah.
So my daughter has been coming to classes, to lectures all around the world ever since she was 40 days old. She's picking up. I'll tell you a small story. I was mentoring a startup at a coffee and bookstore coffee place combination in Izmir. And I talked about how they should think about marketing, how they should think about positioning and everything else. And then they said, yeah, go ahead, we will do this, we will do that. And she was with me. She's just having some coffee, having some cakes, and just looking around the books she'd purchased. As we left, I'm walking out the bookstore and the coffee place, she turned around and told me, you didn't tell them anything about TikTok. I was like, what? What TikTok? I don't do TikTok. You don't do TikTok. I don't allow her to do any social media. I said, no, you don't understand. It's like, okay, tell me. You have no idea what TikTok is used for by young people that are trying to find materials that are interesting to read. I was like, TikTok? That's a video platform. What about reading?
Yeah.
No, let me show you. And then she took my phone. She went to YouTube because I don't have a TikTok on my phone. And she showed me videos that are shot in TikTok, uploaded to YouTube, that talks about young adult fiction books. And they have enormous followers, great content. It's like 13, 14, 15-year-olds going on TikTok and talking about the books they love. And they have hashtags, they have connections, they have followers, they have different accounts. So now you should have told them that in order to attract young adults, young customers who would spend a lot of money, because in my case, whenever she goes to the bookstore, I'll give her my credit card. I say, don't go over 5, and that's the limit.
Yeah.
And that's probably a lot of parents are doing that. When your child comes to you and says, I want to read, you go like, okay, go read. Let me buy you more books. Just get it off the screen. So, and I told her, we went back. She was super shy. And I asked her to tell them exactly what she told me. And they were like, we had no idea. And she even designed them how they should present to the young adults, like with hashtags, with profiles of TikTokers, with screenshots of videos printed out on the entrance of them. So if you do that, I bet you all the 15, 16, 13-year-olds will go around and will see the TikTok video and will come and will buy the books. And it's like, that's brilliant. So I'm really,
That's
really,
awesome.
that's like a proud dad moment for me. It's really, really fun. And I hope that they're actually getting that done. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, your efforts pay off.
yeah, well, that's what we struggle, right?
Awesome. Okay, but let's get back to you teaching, and you're still doing that. So, and one idea that also came up to me when you were talking about zillion pitches, because you're doing AI, and this is like for somebody who may not be ready to try their pitch on somebody, right? Maybe even on their family or friends. And one of our first podcasts was with Martin Barnes, who has pitch bootcamp. I'm definitely mistaking the name, but something like this. I will hook you guys up. But what he does, his idea is to bring people together to pitch to each other, just whoever. They're not investors, so you're not really all weirded out. But that could be, zillion pitches could be like the first step, and they could be the second, and then the real investors could be the third. So that could be a great flow. But anyway, you're teaching about investments and fundraising. And I've done a bit of my homework and went over a few of your videos. So a lot of founders are struggling with fundraising, and that's because, and also we brought it up yesterday at the podcast with the founder, every time you pitch to an investor, the feedback is probably going to be very different. So even from my very, very little experience, one investor would say, have 2 slides. Another would say, don't have slides, tell me your story. Another would say, no one cares about your story until, you're curing some great problem in the world. So this is very nerve-wracking and very distracting to founders. So how to navigate this, how to make sure that you're still pitching your story, telling your story, you are going over your product without getting maybe into features details too much, right? But how do you still get this message to your investor and get the investment, right? You're not there to just tell a story. So what is there a right path? Like, what are you teaching? What is your best advice to, like, maybe generic advice?
I mean, I'll start with a very cliche perspective that a lot of people have used, and I don't mind using it as well. Why do you get married in life? There may be many reasons. Like, you may want to have children. You may want to have a companion. It's always better. Frankenstein said, alone bad, friend good. So there could be many reasons why you're getting married, or you're having a partner. Let's not even go to marriage. Again, there's a trade, like transaction. There is some common alignment, an understanding has to happen between partners. One reason for that is for happiness to emerge, alignment has to happen. So people have to look at it from a different perspective. They will not be together. They have to look in from the same perspective or similar perspective. They have to negotiate. They have to talk about things. Again, building a relationship is difficult. Building a partnership is difficult. But fundamentally, what's necessary is, like, you need to understand what the other partner wants, and you need to know what you want. If those are aligned, yes, then you can have a successful, healthy relationship. Same with looking for investors. Founders who are new, who are doing it for the first time, they don't understand what investors want, what investors need. Usually they just focus on me. I want money, I want money, I want money, I want to do this, I want to do this. So there's a lot of me. It was just like, you can't have a healthy relationship by just going me. You have to have what do you want. And you have to, it's very easy from the investor side. Investors, VCs, institutional investors, get money from others. Much like a founder is getting money from investors, VCs get the money from limited partners. And they give the money to get their money back on multiples. Instead of putting them into a bank and getting 1% interest rate, or used to be 1% interest rate, they just want something else. They want better returns. It's an alternative asset class. And in order to provide that ultimate return, better returns, VCs have to look for outsized opportunities, outlier opportunities. That's VCs, which means every VC, every investor that is representing a venture capital group will look into a startup, not thinking, will this be a successful startup? Will this be a sustainable company? They look at, will this be an outlier? Will this startup provide me with 10 times more the money I'm putting them? Will they grow so much beyond their existing dreams that I will get a lot of money back? That's a different perspective than normal investors. Normal investors, like sometimes even angels, they look into an opportunity, they say, okay, this will be profitable. It will give me some dividends. So I'll get my money in like 2-3 years or 5 years, whatever. Most investors look at very short term. VC investors have to look at from a long-term perspective, 7 to 10 years. And founders do not understand that. Do not spend time reading, do not spend time watching. This is not like a secret that I'm holding forever. It's everywhere. Everybody knows about this. If they're fundraising, if there's a VC, there's talks about this everywhere. So founders are lazy. They think the investor's job is to give them money, but they don't know what kind of money, what are the expectations that are coming with that money, and what's the time frame of a venture capital fund to return their funds. So what's the end game for the venture investor? It's not like stock investing. It's not like equity investing. It's very different with VC. Angels are different. We train angels with Angel Club, with this one. So we teach them this mindset change. With angels, it's a different product. There might be different things that angels might get out of investing into startups. One of them is like keeping up with what's happening. The other is like giving back financially as well to what they've received from a community of like businesses. So there might be many reasons other than the financial reason for angels. So I'm not saying every angel would expect 100 times returns, but of course they would not want to lose money. So that's a different conversation. With people you want to build a relationship with that are possibly okay with losing some of the money, you have to build a different relationship. You have to talk to them about what you actually want. And maybe you're not even talking with them at the same time because your ambitions are too different. And fundraising, again, you're not fundraising from a wall. You're not fundraising from a door. You're not fundraising from a phone. You're fundraising from a person. And that person, that individual, has to work with you to help you go to your dream goals, whatever those are. And if that person doesn't like you, then why would they work with you? Nobody likes to work with assholes. And that's very certain for everybody. Even if you're a very brilliant person, if you're really hard to work with, and if you're not coachable, not many investors would like to talk with you. Not many investors would like to work with you because you're just going to make their life miserable. Nobody likes to do that, but nobody likes to have a people pleaser as a founder as well, like trying to run around and trying to make sure everybody's happy. It doesn't work that way as well. So you have to be yourself. And one question I used to invest before I started building my own startups. One question I asked about the founders is like, why do you care? What's in it for you? Why do you like doing this? Why not finding a job? Why are you suffering so much to build a device, to build a software, to build a hardware, to build something? What is wrong with you? Because that's a very important question, because it's not normal to stop doing everything you're doing and making money with your career from jobs that are everybody's paying you on time, you have vacation time, it's like you can relax after 6, you can have family, you can have whatever time you want, but you give up all that comfort and get into a very uncomfortable, very tricky, very difficult journey and become a founder. And it cannot be explained by, oh, everybody else is doing it and I had friends who fundraise who are rich. It's the amount of people who got rich by building startups is very, very little. So unless you really like what you're doing, unless you have a crazy passion or reason or attachment, unless you're super, super deep into the problem personally or your family or your friends, a lot of social startups come from that kind of passion and connection to the problem. Or if you're really techie and you really want to do something good for your community of techies, and you've seen a way to do things better, you want to share that with everybody else, and in the meantime, grow your company, just don't do it. Don't become a founder. It's just it's really difficult. So again, founders have to communicate this passion. Founders have to communicate this craziness in a way that makes sense. And they have to be real and telling everybody how difficult this will be. And they know how difficult this will be. And they're okay with that. And they're looking forward for those challenges. They only need some help, some guidance, some adult supervision. And by adult supervision, I don't mean ages-wise, by experience-wise supervision. And money at the end of the day to scale a company, to grow a company, to hire more people, to be more plannable with their future. That's what founders look for. But sometimes they go, oh, I have this great idea, I have this great technology, and I want money. What are you going to do with my money? What are you going to do with anybody's? Why are you doing this? Oh, it's a great opportunity. Who cares about the opportunity? Everybody's running after opportunities. It's abundant. There are opportunities everywhere. But why this opportunity? Why you? Why this team? Why are you attached together? What will make you not break when I push stress, not me as an investor, but when the market forces stress on you, what will make you unbreakable? Just talk about, again, that's storytelling. That's always about stories, and that's personal connection. That's emotions, and yeah, definitely emotions. You just have to convey what's right for you, not the right message. There's no right message, changes from people to people. You just have to convince what's good for you, what's right for you, what your visions are. And you need to go and ask a lot of people. You can't fundraise by just having 2 meetings. It's just a mythology. Oh, I went, I pitched, somebody wrote me a check. It just doesn't work. I've seen it work, but like it doesn't work usually.
Right.
So that's the strategy.
Have you noticed maybe what kind of founders, what kind of startups usually get to succeed in their fundraising journey? Is there some kind of trait or maybe some kind of approach that they're using which is helpful?
Definitely. One, they need to be organized. Fundraising, I give the analogy of like a jockey and a horse. Fundraising is like a horse race. You can be the horse if you are not aware of it, and investors will be the jockey. They'll ride you around. So unless you want to work the process and make them the horses and you become the jockey, you choose which horse you would like to work with, then you'll have to, you don't realize, but the investors will kind of ride you back and forth between each other. So it's a process. It needs diligence. It's a full-time job. Fundraising for a founder is literally a full-time job. The problem with that is usually founders have their full-time job, which is a function in a company. They either build the technology or sell the technology or market it or do operations or sales, whatever they do. They have to have a team that will back them up when they're out there trying to fundraise. It's a process. It can be designed. We help many companies do that design. And at the end of the day, one thing that's definitely necessary is support system. You have to have a group of people who will back you up, who will trust what you're doing. And when you get a beating, when you get 100 no's, they will be behind you, believing in the process, believing in you. So that it requires a huge team effort. Solo founders, that's why it's really difficult for solo founders to fundraise. And not many investors are super keen to invest in solo founders. So that's a process. One, design the process. Design your backup system. Design your support system. Have alignment with your co-founders. The second thing is always have your eyes on the target, which is how many months do you have left? How are you holding up with the money? How is it going to work out towards the end of the process? If you are starting the fundraising process when you have 3 months left in the bank, 3 months worth of money left in the bank, that's a terrible place to start fundraising process, because The closer you get to that deadline, the threshold you'll get, it will be very difficult. And you might be able to get forced, the analogy on horse and jockey, you might be able to force, investors might be able to force the founders into a corner, and you'll have to accept a bad deal. You might give additional board seats, you might have a lousy valuation, you might not have the exact terms. Competition drives good terms for everybody. It's not like I'm on the side of the founders, I'm on the side of the right, which is the founders and investors have to find the optimum path together moving forward. And there are many bad investors that will just take advantage of the founders' structure. So know your numbers, know the process, design the process, know your numbers. Definitely know the ice cream season, which is in some countries, Europe, there are a lot of Flying Dutchmen between June and July. In Middle East, if you're fundraising from Middle East, June, July, August, September is like super hot. You won't be able to find many people to talk to. During the Christmas, December is the worst time to start fundraising. Everybody will be Christmasing. Oktoberfest is terrible so there is so many uniqueness, but that's the ice cream season. So you need to know when the ice cream is hot, when it's going to melt, so you don't get there. Timing and planning is important. And the last one is like focus on your customers. The minute you meet an investor, let's say in January, and you tell them we have 10 customers, and you start talking about it, they say, oh, come back to us when you have more. The next time you meet, you keep updating them as a process. Next time you keep updating them, you say, okay, we have 12 customers, we have 15 customers, we have 18 customers, we have 25 customers, we have 30 customers. Don't worry, the investor will find you. The investor will come, what are you doing to increase your numbers that much? What is the strategy? How is the go-to-market strategy working? How is the product holding? Are you able to do this? Are you able to do that? So increasing and not losing focus on the business, that's why you need the team to do that when you're trying to fundraise, will impress investors, and they'll come say, something's right going on. Can we meet? Can we talk? Does it meet our mandates? Does it meet our ticket size? Are there anybody who's committed? So then they start coming to you even before you start going to them. So every VC wants to invest in something that's growing. Every VC wants to invest in something that's about to take off, and they want to catch that before it takes off. Because after that, it will be a very expensive deal. Again, focus on the process, trust your team, build a team, don't lose sight of the key metrics.
Okay, that's wonderful. And I think it's very, very aligned with, again, what we talked about yesterday with a successful founder who raised quite a lot of money. And she was also talking about like keeping your investors updated. If it's a no, maybe it's just a not now. Absolutely. Right. And I love how, how it all aligns with what you're talking about. But since you started talking about getting a co-founder, having a team, and this is amazing. And again, according to some research, a lot of, I guess, more founders get investment if they have a co-founder. But still, there are a lot of indie makers who tend to go alone. They tend to bootstrap as well. Mm-hmm. But when they get to this need to grow and to go to the investor, they still may not have a co-founder. So what's your experience with that? How do you fundraise if you're a solo founder?
So especially about indie makers and the people I worked with before have created a lot of products. They were very successful in Product Hunt. And if an idea is growing very slowly, but profitably, it's a super valuable thing. So I'm never going to diminish the value of being independent, doing what you like and making money out of this. But the tricky piece is the pace. If you believe the idea that you had, the model that you had, the product that you had has the potential to scale. And if you really want to lead that potential, then you might need to fundraise. And in order to do that, you will need to change your mindset. A lot of the times, VC-backed startups run so fast, are pushed to run so fast, then when there's a wall in front of them, they're forced to knock it off, or they just hit the wall and die. They can't fundraise, they can't grow, something goes wrong. And that's okay for the VCs who invested in them, because they're not going to spend more time, they're not going to spend more money. 3 years, you had a good run, you grew a lot, you couldn't build X, Y, Z, you couldn't build unit economics, you couldn't get enough customers. That's fine. It's fine for the VC, not fine for the founder. VCs are okay in losing that money. The one that gets hurt is the founder. It spent 3 years, 4 years, and keeps getting pushed towards the brink of extinction. If that's not for the faint-hearted. That's a very stressful thing. You need to maybe like fire 50 people out of 70. It's really difficult, but that's what scaling will help, will get you do. Economic downturn, you need to fire people, you need to do drastic things, and it may not be for everybody. So if for indie developers, if they just get the allure of, oh, I have some company, I have some idea, I had some product, I had some revenue, now I need financing, I was like, why? Do you want to manage people? Do you want to miss your daughter's birthday? Do you want to miss Christmas or Ramadan or Eid al-Fitr? Do you want to miss important deadlines? Do you want to not be around your family? Do you want to miss out on your gym work? Do you want to miss out? Do you want to gain like 10 kilos? If those are the things,
sound really horrible.
It is horrible. It is horrible. Like, I keep talking to global founders every day. That's my job. That's why I make money. And all of them have the super difficult problems. And most of them are like, yeah, they're struggling. It's now there's a hustle porn. Everybody's hustling. But man, that's very unhealthy in today's jargon, in today's cycles. Not many people have sustainable relationships. Not many people have workable relationship with their parents, spouses, partners, children, friends, with their body, because the job will demand 27 hours of work, and it's just super difficult, especially when you fundraise. So they just have to cut this romanticism about fundraising. Not every startup needs to fundraise. If they have to do it, they have to do it the real way, and they have to grow really fast. They have to grow to an exit, which is really stressful. But I used to think otherwise, by the way. I used to keep pushing people to build more scalable companies. But then I realized if they don't want it, they can have a sustainable business making $1 million a year with 5 people, each person getting $100,000 of salaries every year, which is far better than what they could get out in the market. And if they like what they're doing, if they like the customers, they'll be happy. So why try to grow a company that's making $1 million to $50 million? Try to hire 250 people, manage all their problems, all their issues. If they don't like it, they don't like it. If they don't want it, they don't want it. So indie developers especially should be really careful in like not getting into this shenanigans. Like it's like there are fish in the depths. They have something in their head.
Yeah.
They leng it out, and then you get closer and you're just gone. Don't get closer to that allure. If you have the ability to build a sustainable business, you can use your time the way you want it. You work with people that you like, which is a super richness, and you're happy with serving the clients that you care about, then it's okay. It's great entrepreneurship. It's a great startup, but it's not the startup that's fundable. But who cares?
Okay, all right. That's a very interesting approach. And I think a lot of people are pushing themselves to fundraise just because they're a little bit afraid to get stuck in that. But they're quite comfortable and they have quite comfortable lives. But, the society is pushing them, maybe they're the next Elon Musk, and all that stuff. So I kind of agree with you. But a lot of people, I think, would still be very skeptical about it. Like, what if we fundraise? What if we get $1 million per week? What if? But
the what if part is like you're going to lose a lot of things. That's what if. Maybe you'll get something, and if it drives you, that the thought process drives you, it gives you excitement. Perfect, go for it. I mean, I'm not against people fundraising and growing. I'm not against people who fundraise, who tried their best until they hit the wall, and then all of a sudden they just have to shut down everything because they don't have the money, the product doesn't work, the customers don't pay, and they realized they couldn't fundraise any longer. They shut down the whole thing. It's a great experience. I'm not saying people shouldn't do it, but people should be very cautious about just getting carried away with that idea. And some people are driven with that adrenaline. They keep on moving, they keep on moving, they keep on moving. If you're that kind of person in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, doesn't matter the age, then go for it. Absolutely. If you're not settled with having only $1 million revenue in the bank or every year, or just growing 20% per year, if you're fine with that, just stay fine. But if something else is itching you, just know what itches you and go scratch that. Just not scratch that because somebody's pushing you from behind and everybody's saying, oh, you should have fundraised, you should have fundraised. If you don't like it, then don't like it. Just don't get forced by other people or the ecosystem around you.
Right. Okay. And another very, I think, common thing, a common problem is, yes, we talked about solo founders, right? But let's talk about solo tech founders. The guys that are really in love with their product. They're good product people. They have awesome features. Maybe they even are able to scope it down to just the best feature out there, solving this one killer problem and like helping a lot of people, but the usual problem for them is that when they go to the investor, they get so excited about the features that's all they're talking about, right? So is the solution to that to only go to investors as psyched about the features and about the product, this little niche as they are, or still, especially in the early stage, try to go to everyone, but then how do they push themselves without a founder, to not focus on that and just find something else to talk about?
So geeks have an advantage. If you're only a business person and you don't have technology, it doesn't matter who you go, you're going to be turned down as a solo founder. But if you're a geek, if you hustle through a product, if you can show something, there is an advantage for those people because there's so many other geeks who became successful in other enterprises. So for example, in San Francisco, the angel community is very strong and they're super passionate about things they care about. So as a techie founder, you could literally fundraise from somebody who cares about the technology piece at a small scale. You can raise an angel fund. You guys are into, I don't know, Raspberry Pis and doing something, and the other guy is also very interested in that, does that as a hobby, is very interested, has done a company around it. Yeah, he can fundraise you because he likes you. He likes what you're doing, he likes the product vision and everything else. But if he's smart, he will tell you to find somebody to sell the product, because at the end of the day, no product goes, no company gets shut down because they had failing products. A lot of companies might have a failing product, but they had the right team, right components to make it work until a point where they fundraise, they build a team, they got the product right. I usually give this example, the fail whale. I don't know how many of you know this. A fail whale is an art piece designed by someone I met, is a friend of mine in San Francisco. And she designed it in Twitter to show people when Twitter was down. And they're like, imagine this, you have such a bad product that it doesn't work. You have to make it cute for people not to curse you out. Actually, it's a veil carried by small red pigeons, which are tweeties. And it says, oh, we will malfunction. Our servers have reached capacity. It's such a bad product. Well, what happened to Twitter? Now it's like who knows what will happen with Elon buying it or not, but Twitter became Twitter with the shittiest product. A lot of the technology products were not able to function well until it scaled really well and had the right team and the right mindset and right product people. But it worked out. For some products, it's not the case. For healthcare products, your product just has to work. Nobody will have second guesses about the product as long as we're in healthcare. But again, you could be building the technology. The only thing you have to remember as a techie, as a geek who's solo, who's trying to fundraise, find the people who can help you build a team to help you become a business, not a product. making your business a product is very difficult than building a product. So those are two different things. You can have a product, but your main goal is to make the company a product that you can sell. And again, the famous analogy is like Steve Woz would still be in HP, maybe doing calculators, advanced calculators, or would be in a school teaching things. He would have amazing technologies built, but unless Steve Jobs have emerged and knew as much as the tech as he did, but had something else that kind of sparked people's interest, sales and marketing and branding and focus, we wouldn't have had Apple. So of course, there are counter examples for that. There are so many geek, 5 people, 5 engineers building a great company. That's possible. But I usually give the example of Apple because it's very obvious who's the techie, who's the not. And I also give the example of Google. Like before Eric Schmidt joined, it was just a bunch of people doing great technology without a focus and without a strong business. But when he came as an adult supervisor, he made what Google became today together with the founder. So you don't need, maybe you're not there to find an Eric for your Google. Maybe you're not there to find find the jobs for your Woz. But again, you need to appreciate the fact that a company is different than its product. A company is a product by itself.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that, because again, I think sometimes if you're a tech founder and you're focusing on the product, it is very difficult to let it go and just realize that people are probably not gonna come and buy it if it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to come back to one of the videos I watched with you, and there you said, and I think this is a very important thing, and again, a lot of founders don't know about it, or just choose to ignore it, or are shy when they go to an investor. They're just asking for basically an amount of money, right? But they're afraid to say like where it's going to be allocated, or like how they're going to use it. They're a bit afraid to maybe say no. So and there you said, have a great ask, right? So what is it? What does it mean to have an ask when you go to an investor?
Technically, again, going back to the metrics part, like the fundraising process, a founder should only fundraise when he exactly knows where the money will be spent and what the assumed result of that money spent will be. I hate to see when founders say, I'm going to spend this much money. Okay. And then I ask, what will happen? Oh, we're going to grow. Okay. How much are you going to grow? Oh, we don't know. We haven't done any marketing tests yet. Okay. Or we haven't done any sales funnel building yet. Okay. Or we know exactly who to are in technology. Okay. I ask, what is the technology going to add? Are you going to build another product, another version? Are you going to increase another feature that's you're going to charge more? No, it's going to be better technology. Better technology to do what exactly? So again, it comes back to the previous conversation. Founders have to understand they're building a company, not a product. The product itself is important. I'm not saying it's not important, but they have to tie in everything together. I'm going to hire a sales executive. In our case, within 1 year, we expect the sales executive to bring us 100 new deals, out of which 50 of them will be POCs, out of which 25 of them will be paid, out of which 5 of them will be overselling. That in total will bring us $120,000 revenue, because per revenue, our customer base will pay us $1,000 per month. Okay, that's a plan. It may not work, but like that's a plan. I need to know what the plan is. Or we're going to do social marketing. Heck, everybody's going to do social marketing. Unless you pay, it doesn't work anymore. But like, what are your metrics? What is the thing that you're driving? What are the funnel? What are the structures that you're measuring every cohort? Have you tested anything? In which markets? Oh, we're going to go global. We need $500,000. Okay, which markets, which global, which languages? What have you done to test? Oh no, we haven't done any. Okay, just go, like whatever. I don't want to curse right in the middle of the whole thing. Just go figure that out. Unless you figure that out, just becomes like, oh, give me money, show me the money, show me the money, show me the money. I mean, it doesn't work that way. And of course, you may not know everything. If you knew everything, you wouldn't be at an early stage trying to raise $1 million. You will be in your villa that you paid to buy with $1 million. Everybody knows you're not there yet, but the process, being aware of the process, being aware of the expectations is very critical. Oh, we're going to hire people. Who are those people? Oh, I don't know. We'll go out and search. Like, that's a bullshit answer. Oh, these are the 3 people we talked. They're currently working in large companies. They are in the industry. They have the right talent, right expertise in the industries we want to go into. And we are going to convince one of them. In order for us to pay what he's currently getting and replace that, we need to pay him X amount of money for 18 months. That's the amount of money we're going to pay that person. Here's the CV, here's the credentials, here's our conversation. Perfect. I know what's the next, like, they have to just remember, this is Friday, you talk to me, I'm sending you the money. The money is in your bank on Monday. What are you going to do? If you're just going to get the money in the bank and, okay, now let's figure out what to do with it, that's a waste of time and that's a waste of money. Starting from Monday, this is the first thing I'm going to be doing with the money you gave me. This is the second thing I'm going to be doing with the money you gave me. Here's month 1, month 2, until month 12. And after month 12, if everything goes well, we will still have 6 months worth of money. So we're not going to go bankrupt all of a sudden. And then we will start fundraising with a better valuation, with better terms, with better metrics, with better. So it's the flow. These founders have to understand when they fundraise, they have 1 year. It's like giving birth. You have 3 trimesters. 1, you're trying to figure out what works. Basically, like as in a baby coming out. Something's in there. You have the money, something's working. You don't know exactly what's working. You drink this, you drink that, you eat this, you eat that. You're just trying to figure out. That's 6 months in the lifetime of the founder. The second 6 months, some things are working, so you need to start pushing that to work. You have tested things in 6 months. You have some results. Now it's time to execute. You learned a little bit. You already knew. You validated your assumptions. Now you have the money. Just push towards it. 6 months, grow, 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 grow. And after 6 months, you get ready for the birth, which is the next fundraising cycle. Keep your metrics, keep your order, keep your due diligence. Get books, get whatever you need to do. Find more people to help you out with fundraising. Then that's where you need the fundraising, the last 6 months. So it's pretty much like 3 trimesters after your fundraise. So I have to know as an investor, what are you going to do in the first 2 trimesters? So I can help you out. I can help you with testing. I can help you with connections. I can help you with hiring. Tell me what you need me to do, not just what you're going to do with my money as well. Oh, just give me the money and I'm going to see you in a year, inshallah. That doesn't work.
Yeah, you made giving birth sound too easy, but
sorry for that. It's a lot more complicated.
Yeah, a lot more complicated than maybe growing your startup, but we'll talk about it some other time. And could you please share your best advice that you would give to founders that are going to the investor, and basically what questions do they have to have answered in their head before they go into this?
So I'll take a different spin on that. I would caution the founders to start asking questions rather than like, they have to have the answers to all the questions. I mean, it's not, again, it's not like brain surgery. It's not rocket science. What the founders will be asked is pretty much simple. Very easy to answer, like what's your growth rate? What are the metrics? The things we talked about. What I would ask the founders to do, and good founders do that really well, do your search, do your desktop search. Look into the investor with multiple angles. What are their ticket sizes? Who they invested before? What do they like? What they have posted? What are they reading? Like literally do an FBI search and know the investor and ask them questions. Ask them questions about what they think about the industry. Ask them questions about what they think about the fundraising structure. Ask them questions about what they think the best go-to-market strategy would be. Like those meetings, and I hate this in Turkey when startup founders go in front of these people who are usually older than them, and they do this, like they're like this, like they're waiting for a verdict to come. don't do that. The investors are going to make money at the end of it. If you're successful, they're going to make money. Most investors have this godforsaken wrong understanding of the power structure, and they feel like, oh, I have the check, and they wave the cash in front of them as like bones. It's their money, especially VCs don't do that, but angels do that a lot of the time. It's your money, fine, you earned it, but unless you give it to me, you can't make 10 times more the money. I'm going to be working not for you, I'm going to be working for myself. But at the end, you're going to be rewarded by my work. So it's not a, there should not be, I'm not saying there's no power struggle between both founders and investors, but investors have to be cautious about, like, the strong founders will just not work with anybody who gives them shit. So founders, if they want to learn, they want to grow, they want to fundraise, they have to do a lot of due diligence. And when they meet, ask them questions. You need to qualify them as much as they're qualifying you. It's a relationship. You're not like selling drugs in the Grand Bazaar. It's your time, and not the time you spend already, the time you will be spending 5 to 7 years to 10 years. Don't take it lightly. You don't want to walk that path with people you don't like. So ask them questions. Definitely ask them for references. Ask them for references. Ask them, can you show me, can you introduce me to 3 of the founders you recently invested in our domain? We want to learn how you help them from them. Okay, if an investor tells me, no, I can't introduce to the founders I invested, then say, okay, thank you, and walk away. Easy. It's like, again, going back to the relationship, like the analogy, you have a good friend, I have a good friend. In order for me to matchmake them, I have to know both of them. And if I don't know what each other are doing, I'm not going to matchmake them. So I just have to meet the expectations. And again, investors, founders have to be very careful, have to do a lot of due diligence on the investors, have to ask a lot of questions. Don't treat the investor meeting as a meeting where you need to defend your capital, defend your hypothesis, or just be at arms. It's a conversation. They will ask you questions, you will have answers, and you will ask questions and expect answers, intelligent answers from them. Because at the end, you're not just asking for their money, you're asking for their guidance, their connections, their vision, if it's aligned or not. If it's not aligned, don't take their money, because then they're just going to drive you nuts.
Okay, that's I think that's amazing, an amazing piece of advice. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, and I have so many questions. You know, I forgot my notebook, as I told you before, with all of them.
You did well. You did well.
Yeah, and you know, still we had 2 conversations already, and I still haven't gotten through all of them. So we'll probably have to meet again someday. But
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
It's been lovely, and I think we all of people in our audience, you know, we all learned a lot. So thank you for sharing a ton of experience with us, and yeah, definitely would love to have you again as a speaker here.
Perfect. I mean, for the founders who are there, I usually don't respond back very quickly to LinkedIn requests. I'm usually a little bit faster in responding to Twitter mentions. I don't do anything else. I deleted every social media out of my phone. Like, yeah, I just kept LinkedIn, unfortunately, for other reasons. But for those who are like curious, I'm easy to find. But Mr. Ozan Sonmez is the Twitter handle. So if you have any questions, I try to avoid it as much as I can. But when I'm on the laptop and I have 10 minutes to kill, which I rarely do, or I lost sleep, which occasionally happens, then I go on Twitter and answer questions. So, and for the email, I'm very easy to find as well. It's ozan@yellowx.co.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I will make sure to follow up and, you know, share this information.
Perfect.
So thank you so much for doing this. Okay, well, take care, and I'll definitely keep in touch.
Yeah.